Going on, Black Speakers Network family? Welcome to yet another. First of all, Happy New Year and welcome to 2023. This is our very first Speakers Magazine live interview for 2023. If we haven't met yet, my name is Brian Olds, president and founder here at Black Speakers Network. As always, I'm joined with the amazing Sierra Black, Atlanta, Georgia, in the building, as well as Dr. Pam Perry, founder and visionary behind Speakers Magazine. 5 years running and no signs of slowing down. Detroit, Michigan is here. And then, of course, we have our very first cover issue honoree, expert, celebrity in chief, like whatever you want to call her, Dr. Monique. You are here in the building. Thank you so much. And guess what? We are excited to talk to you. How are you doing today?
Amazing. I could not possibly be better. I'm in the virtual room with some greats, with some icons, with some legends. I'm grateful. I'm excited for this conversation. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you're not familiar with Dr. Monique, she is a certified coach, content creator, speaker, voice talent. As if you haven't figured it out from that amazing microphone setup she has, she knows what she's doing. And so super excited to jump in. Dr. Pam, how are you? I know
I am
2023.
I
Jumping
am
into it.
doing great. I am doing great. This issue, I'm trying to match with the green here. You see that, right?
I love it.
She has got me so excited. We have not met personally, but I have been following her for years, and she is amazing. Her book changed my life. I mean,
Oh,
this is a great way to jumpstart the year talking about money, abundance, and overflow. This is it. The 2003, the year of clarity and overflow. There we go. Clarity and overflow. Those are the two words. Overflow
love it.
now, right?
Mhm.
.com, overflownow.com. I'm so excited. She's got an amazing story. Amazing story. So shy about it too. Because normally she's interviewing other people. Well, that was her career for a couple of decades. So
Yeah.
for her to be interviewed, I know she's probably like, "Oh Lord," she's sweating, right?
Well,
Because she
Monique, this can't
normally
be
is
a
like turning the heat on other people.
No. Hey, Brian, what you gonna learn about me? Pam knows this. Sierra may know this. We may have talked about it during the interview, but I am an introvert. I got this extroverted, like outward persona, this career, and I am an introvert. And so to have three people like, so Monique, tell me a little. It's like a little bit different for me, but
well,
nevertheless,
you've met your kindred spirit because I if you go to my LinkedIn, I literally have certified introvert in my intro. So
See her too. See her
So
too.
right, so we're all three of us are introverts with
yes.
wow,
extroverted personalities when mandated.
And I'm
Pam
opposed
is
to
a full
pushing all of
blown
y'all out.
extrovert, right?
I'm pushing all of y'all out. Like, this is the publicist. And
Right.
every time Monique goes, she says, "Oh my God, I see so many pictures of myself. Oh Lord have mercy."
oh,
It's
it's a
like
lot.
she
It's a
just sent
lot for
this big
real.
old poster board to you. It's like, okay.
But you would never know. I have had the pleasure of meeting Monique and being in the room with her. Never knew she was introvert at all. And I am excited about what she's doing. She's new here in Atlanta, and I cannot wait to attend her events, her functions. I cannot stress how important what she talks about, Systenomics, is to the community here in Atlanta, the Black community, and just us as business women. You know, I'm bringing me plus five. So we are ready for you here in Atlanta. Welcome to Atlanta, by the way. Welcome to Atlanta.
Can you speak on that a little bit? Because why is everybody moving to Atlanta? Like first Tyler Perry, now Dr.
Now the
Monique.
world.
Like, yeah, I feel like is
Here.
Atlanta really the spot? Was that a decision based on just wanting to be around other creators or other entrepreneurs, or what brought you to the region?
It's a great question. So I'm originally from Chicago.
Yeah.
We left Chicago in 2013 and moved to Puerto Rico, the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, where we lived for almost 10 years. And so when it was time to come back after my son graduated from high school in Puerto Rico and after the pandemic and after, all of these revelations that I think we all had during those 2 years and we were, quarantined to our homes, we had a lot of time to think about things. And once my son graduated, I really felt like I wanted to be closer to my family, but didn't necessarily want to go back to Chicago. I wanted to enjoy more than 2 seasons. Pam, you from Detroit, so you know in the Midwest we got winter and summer, and that's it.
That's it.
So we wanted to enjoy a new scenery. We have a lot of family based here in Atlanta. And so we said, well, let's give it a try. Let's just try it, and if we don't like it, we'll move someplace else. So I think my husband and I are kind of adventurers at heart. We're willing to try new things. And so far, we've been here a little bit over a year. I feel like we're in the right place at the right time. I feel like Atlanta is so rich with possibility and opportunity. I feel like so far this place is popping, Sierra. Like I love Atlanta and just really looking forward to really firmly get my feet planted here and meet some more people and do some really fun, amazing, and inspiring things here. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
No
That's
doubt
cool.
you will find a true, rich, robust network of other professionals such as yourself that are like-minded, and also very supportive of what you're doing. And I think you will find that here in Atlanta once you really start connecting. And I'm sure Pam is already making those connections because she has several clients, several speakers here in Atlanta that she connects with. So I think, as I mentioned before, you are in the right place, and we definitely need you here. I love this topic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
But I know Puerto Rico. I visited Puerto Rico not last year, but the year before, and it was really hard to leave. Like I love San Juan. Like it is an incredible place. So that must have been a incredible transition as well. So Monique, you're leading the path when it comes, and that's kind of part of the thing. I know you talk about like in the article, like kind of leaving corporate, a few decades ago, and now it's kind of like you have that freedom and flexibility to basically, I mean, you could pretty much live anywhere you want, I imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, living in Puerto Rico was a game changer coming from Chicago. I mean, Chicago is like you grind, you hustle. Chicago is the capital of the grind and hustle, if you ask me. And so going to Puerto Rico was a huge shift. In fact, Puerto Rico is where the Overflow brand was born. I was in Puerto Rico. I haven't told this story in a while. I was in Puerto Rico, had just gotten there, went there with my hustle mentality, right? And was finding that whole mentality does not work in Puerto Rico. Baby, let me tell you something about Puerto Ricans. Puerto Ricans will sit down at lunchtime, right? And they will have a glass of red wine. They will luxuriate for 2.5 hours. And I'm like, okay, it's been 30 minutes. It's time to get back to work. What are y'all doing? Everybody's sitting around. And so I very quickly learned that I had to slow it down. I had to mellow out. I had to take my time with it. I was forcing it so much in Puerto Rico that I had worked myself sick. And so what I had done, Brian, is I took some time. I said, okay, let me just hit the reset button. And so I took the time, took some days off, which I never did in Chicago, Sierra. I took some days off and I went and sat out on the beach. I was literally living walking distance from the beach. And I just sat there for days. I said, God, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to wait until I hear from you. And I sat there for days. First few days, I heard nothing but the waves, which was good. But after a couple of days, I finally began to hear that still small voice. And I began to hear overflow. I began to hear, this is what I want you to show them. As I would look out into the vastness of the ocean, God was saying, I want you to show them this. And Pam, it was at that point where I was like, oh, and all the things started to line up. And that's when I started to host retreats in Puerto Rico. And women would come from all over the world to Puerto Rico to learn, to sit, to just to bask in the beauty of what that island has to offer, the energy. And that is when everything for me changed.
I want to say something that is wonderful. That is so beautiful. I remember when I went to Puerto Rico and I was looking you up, I was like, I want to see you. But there was something when you birthed Overflow, and I want you to say, you didn't mention it in the article, but when, I don't know if it was Irma or Maria, which hurricane was that, where you were in the overflow and you did so much for other people in the island. And I remember you just giving out. So explain that whole situation. Which one was it?
Yeah.
Irma or was it Maria?
It was really both of them, Pam, because Irma hit 2 weeks before Maria. So what happened was we were we had saw the impact that Irma had on the Southern Caribbean, like St. Thomas, Tortola, and all those places. And we have friends there because we had a yacht when we lived in Puerto Rico, and we would travel to those areas frequently. So we met a lot of amazing people. And so when Irma hit, we saw the devastation and we was like, oh my goodness, let us get as much provision as we can over to our friends in Tortola. We were going to load it all up on our boat and just take it all down there. And I had literally cleaned out my closet and I said, they lost everything,
Yeah.
So I said, let me get my shoes, my clothes, whatever I'm not wearing,
Your
I am
overflow.
going to pack it up and send it there.
Your
And so,
overflow.
yeah, all the overflow, right?
Yes.
And so we had packed everything up. Our entire community came together to help the people in St. Thomas and Tortola. And so as we were getting everything ready, we were ordering military meals ready to eat. Well, cases and cases of water were coming in. My husband just said, let's just go on Amazon and just get as much as we can and take it down there. Lo and behold, 2 weeks after Irma hit, Hurricane Maria hit the island of Puerto Rico. And when I tell you, it devastated Puerto Rico. It was the most frightening, horrifying, beautiful, life-changing, devastating moment all at the same time. So when Maria hit, it was like, oh my goodness. First of all, the hurricane itself was scary. It lasted for over 12 hours. And me being from Chicago, we had dealt with tropical storms in Puerto Rico, but never a hurricane of that magnitude.
Right.
And so once you get past the initial devastation of the hurricane itself, now you're looking at the devastation of the island. And we lived in a really beautiful resort community, but just outside of our community were these rural mountainous neighborhoods where they had nothing. They were very poor. They did not have weeks and weeks of provisions stacked up, like we did, because we were about to take all that stuff to Tortola. And so my husband was like, well, we still need to try to get this stuff to the people in Tortola. But I had gone up to speak to a really sweet lady named Margarita, who I had just worked with for a book bag drive for the kids in the community. And I went to check on her and I was like, Miss Margarita, I just wanted to check on you to make sure you're okay. She was like, Monique, I'm okay, but the people in my community are not. They're desperate. They don't have anything. So all that stuff that we had gotten for Tortola, we wound up going house to house, block to block, neighborhood to neighborhood. To help those people. You remember that, Pam? And because we didn't have any power, we didn't have any cell phone service, we didn't have any internet. I couldn't do business. I couldn't do work because my business was internet based. And so with no power, no lights, no water, no internet, no cell phone, no Facebook, I had to, drive 30 minutes just to try to get a little bit of a signal, just to update people, to let them know that we're okay, we're safe, we're going to be helping people. So whatever you can send, here's my address, send it to me and I'll make sure it gets out. So I spent 14 months serving my community, going house to house, neighborhood to neighborhood, literally by foot. But at first it was just me and my good girlfriend, my husband and my son. And then I got my church involved. And so the whole church got involved. So 14 months, Pam, Dr. Brian, we were on the ground serving.
That's the purpose of overflow. That is the purpose of overflow. For 14 months, you are actually being a blessing to other people who have nothing. That's why I want you to tell that story, because I remember that I was checking on you and I couldn't because you had no internet and stuff. And I was like, oh my God. But when you finally did arise and tell us what was going on, I was like, I said, that's why you were there in Puerto Rico.
Now, what I think is really interesting about this is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Monique, but Tortola and St. Thomas are actually part of the U.S. Or the British Virgin Islands, I think. And so it's actually, you were technically going to another country to deliver like these foods, because Puerto Rico is considered part of the U.S. And so, even though geographically it's like right across the water, it's like you were, extending because it'd be easy to be like, oh, well, that's another country, but you're right there supporting people who are actually your neighbors, even though it's like not part of the US.
Right. Yeah. So Tortola is definitely a BVI, British Virgin Island. St. Thomas is a USVI.
Okay, got
So
it.
yeah, and in a,
Interesting.
it's literally in a boat an hour. We could see the island of St. Thomas from Puerto Rico. So they are neighbors, and it just made sense for us to help. We couldn't get there, unfortunately, but we definitely were able to make an impact on the people to the south of us, as far south as Ponce, Maunabo, all the way up past San Juan, north of us, because the entire island of Puerto Rico was devastated. And it was just an honor and a blessing for us to be a part of the rescue and the recovery.
Yeah.
That was a moment in time, Sierra, that changed my life. I thought I was a giver. I thought I was a servant, but day to day going to people's home, literally having to sludge through mud and debris to make sure that people just had basics, bread and rice and some beans, and that their babies had diapers. Life changing. And as difficult as that moment in time was for all of us, I'm so grateful that I had that experience. It changed my life.
Let me ask you this, because that is a fantastic story, and kudos to you. And you know what, that is, from what I recall, that is who you are, very giving. With that, clearly you have a huge sense of community. How difficult was it for you to make that move, leaving those families and the community you had grown to love and make family? How difficult was it for you to leave that? Because clearly community is huge to you.
Yeah. As you asked me that question, I feel myself getting a little bit emotional because it was very difficult. I cried like a baby. Do you hear me? Like when it was time to go, how you're busy packing and moving and taking care of all the logistics and everything. So that kept me busy for those weeks leading up to the move. But baby, when it got down to the last 48 hours and I'm trying to spend as much quality time with my friends and my church members and my neighbors and Miss Margarita. And it was just like, I cried like a baby.
I'm sure.
And my friend Tonya, who is also from Chicago, her and her husband moved to Puerto Rico literally 2 weeks before the Hurricane Maria. So we got to know them because we were helping them get water and provisions and stuff. And she came to my house and she just held me. I'm crying right now. I can't believe this. Oh my God. I cried like a baby. And it was difficult to leave Puerto Rico. I'm like, because I looked at the assets.
Right.
When I say assets, I'm talking about the people that I got to know, the people that I got to help. I'm looking at the beautiful home that we had. It was literally paradise. Pam, I'm so disappointed that you couldn't come down to our house that day. But I mean, we had this beautiful house with this beautiful garden in the back. It was just a sanctuary. And I'm like, I know Atlanta is cool, but I ain't gonna find nothing like this in Atlanta. Just beside myself. And it turns out, here's what's so funny about your question, Sierra. It turns out, even though I was really sad to leave, when we got to Atlanta, I remember the day that we were driving up, because what happened was, funny story, when we moved, what we did, I'll just give you the route that we took. We got on the plane, obviously, to come to Chicago, right? Because we were taking my son to school. So we had to come to Chicago, see the family, let him get all his hugs and all of that stuff in before he went up to Boston. We had a van in Chicago. So we took our van, drove him to Boston, okay? Got him settled in and made sure he was good. The poor baby was leaving this bubble in Puerto Rico to go live in the urban Boston area. It's a big, huge change for him too. So we got him situated, hung out with him for a couple of weeks. Then we drove back to Chicago just to get our hugs in again. And then we drove from Chicago to Atlanta. It was so funny because when we're driving, we're coming into our neighborhood, we're following the GPS. We don't know nothing about nothing, right? And we're just like, oh my goodness, look at the trees. Oh my goodness, look at the street. Oh, everything was just, we were just discovering our route home as we're following the GPS to this house that we've never seen. That our family members kind of helped us pick it out. They FaceTime. They was like, okay, here's the master bedroom. We literally were doing everything through FaceTime and with this beautiful, wonderful broker that we we're working with. And so we're driving up, and then we get to the block, and the GPS is like, you are 3 minutes away. So now we're pulling up, and we're like, oh my goodness, what is it going to look like? And we pull in. My sister-in-law and her best friend met us here. They were here when we got here. And when we got out of the van, we looking around the house. We're like, oh, this is nice. My sister, she's there with open arms, you know. And when I walk into the house, Dr. Brian, and I'm looking around the house, and I look out in the backyard, and I see all these beautiful green trees and this beautiful yard and this beautiful neighborhood. And I'm like, just a few weeks ago, I was crying in Puerto Rico because I'm like, I'm never going to find anything like this. And we arrive here, and God is like, I told you I got your back, girl. Look at this beautiful house. Look at this beautiful house. And we're just renting right now. But with this, it just felt like home when we got here, Sierra. And I was just like, God is amazing.
If you and just that's a trust factor right there, to have your family helping you pick out a place to live. That's a real trust factor. I have that kind of trust.
How could it not be what you needed or wanted after all that you've given? You know, let's just put, you know, some other elements into it. When you are that giving, your blessings are there too. And the fact that, you know, Dr. Pam mentioned the trust factor, you know, you were not overwhelmed with it. You were going on faith. So how could you not get all that in return? And you know, that was a life-changing, I'm sure, experience when you helped with the hurricane, but it was also a defining moment because like you said, you thought you were giving, right? But here now the abundance and overflow, giving even more, which just matches perfectly, not over your brand, but your personality and who you are as a person. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I don't think I've told the story in this format before. And so to hear you project that back to me, it just brings a whole different level of clarity about that moment in time and the impact and the meaning of it. And to bring it to this moment, Dr. Pam, it's just like, okay, Sierra, see, that's why you do what you do.
Well, you know, yeah, I mean, Sierra could interview like the best of. I was watching all these like TikToks around the passing of Barbara Walters and the like the legacy of like female journalism in particular and the growth over the last like 70 or 80 years. I was like, you know, you can be in that line here because she'll get the question, she'll get the story out of you. Pam too, like get like the real story. But Dr. Monique, I am so excited that you're here. I think in general, a lot of the tenets that you're talking about is very on time for 2023. When you talk about like overflow and the mentality behind that, as well as just not being afraid to like bet on yourself and not having to I think one of the things that entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, creatives, like people from this entire landscape has to get really comfortable with in this particular time of just operating in this like kind of chaotic environment is, you know, being able to make decisions without having 100% of the information. Kind of like we got some of the information, we know directionally where we need to go, and then we make a decision and then move forward. And so I think that's this is really, really good.
Yeah.
So tell them about The Inner Millionaire, the book. I want to go get it, but I left it on the table. I've been carrying it around, reading pieces of it to my daughter. But that was like the catalyst for overflow now.
Yeah. So first, I just got to go back to what Dr. Brian said for 1 second, because it resonated with me. And when you said you got to be willing to bet on yourself, like that's a whole sermon right there, right? That's like a whole teaching, being willing to bet on yourself as speakers and content creators. I don't want us to gloss over that, because that's what really is all about, especially now, because as y'all know, there's a lot of people out there putting the label coach and speaker behind their name. And there's some people who are doing it who don't really leverage the information and the resources that you provide, Dr. Brian, or that you provide, Dr. Pam. Like, you know, you can't just call yourself a coach and a speaker out here without really understanding the weight of that. Like that comes with a big responsibility. And so being willing to bet on yourself, I think, is key, because if you are willing to take on that responsibility, then that means that you really feel like you have something to say, and you bringing something to the table, and you really want to make an impact. And being willing to bet on yourself in that means that if people don't choose you, you got to be willing to choose yourself. If the doors don't open up for you, you got to be able to be willing to cut out your own doorway. You know, I did that so much in my career. I couldn't wait for people to invite me to the table. I had to build my own. And so I want people to understand the weight of using those titles, speaker and coach. It comes with a huge responsibility. So you want to make sure you're connected to the right people who can train you, teach you, mentor you in those spaces, because if you're impacting others, you want to make sure you're doing it right. And then also being willing to bet on yourself, choose yourself, and don't wait for somebody to choose you. So I just want to say that to that. But to answer your question, that's my long answer. Sorry about that. I'm a little long-winded when you get me to talking.
I just want to, Monet, if you could tag that, because I think we want to pull that as a soundbite and put it somewhere. I don't know what we're going to do with that particular piece, Dr. Monet, but that was, excuse me, Dr. Monique, but Monet's in the background. That was incredible. But yes. But yeah, feel free to go to Pam, and then I think we're going to Speakers Magazine. We're going to walk through this issue, but I want to make sure we get Pam's question in as well, because this is all good stuff.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
Thing that the Inner Millionaire, her book, really talks about her money story.
Yeah.
And she has a framework that she helps women with money. She does it on the podcast. She does it in Overflow. She does it in coaching, and she certifies other coaches as well, training. But the money story has to do with, and we had a conversation the other day with a high finance person too. So, but it really talks about how she got into the Overflow once she realized about her money story, which came from that book.
Yeah, so I wrote. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I was pulling from the article because it has this beautiful breakdown that you did, Sierra, where it's like how to embrace your inner millionaire, and the 4 pillars that you go into, and it's like the 4 types of people that money flows to. And so it says people who understand it, people who respect it, people who are not afraid of it, and people who are generous with it. I thought that was incredible.
Listen, this book is so rich. I have it right here, Pam. Just so
okay, good.
Hey.
I love that little money ball that you're holding. That little
that money ball is legendary. That's a whole other story. But the book, you know, The Inner Millionaire is key because there's so many reasons, but it's key because what I want us to understand, Sierra, is that, you know, you hear me talk about money. I'm a money mindset coach. Money is important, but is money really the only thing? Yeah. Like, if we really want to experience joy on a deep level, abundance, if we really want to understand wealth, it goes way beyond money. And so as I did the discovery and the research and my own hard knocks of reframing my money story and rewriting it, I discovered, and through many conversations with women of wealth at all levels, I discovered that money is cool, but money is an inside game first. Like the money that you have on the outside, if you're not feeling good and grateful and wealthy and abundant within, that money will come and go, and it'll break you if you don't have it. And so the inner millionaire is the understanding that there is no shortage of money in the world. We can have access to as much of it as we want. We can create as much as we want, desire, or need, but it starts in your mindset first, Pam. We got to get our mind together. And one of the ways that you can get your mindset right and unleash the overflow is by understanding those 4 things that you pointed out, Dr. Brian, and that is money flows freely to those 4 types of people: people who understand it, people who are not afraid of it, people who respect it, and people who are generous with it. So I break those concepts down in the book. I also give you 8 simple steps to tap into your abundance, and they're so simple and practical. It's like, you know, it's basic stuff. And I think once we all get a hold of that, then we'll easily unleash our overflow.
And just to be able to talk about it in the way you do, you make people, money is such an emotional issue, but
Yes.
the way you bring it up in Sisternomics on the podcast, it's like we're talking about everybody's bringing their money story to the table. They're looking at it. They're not afraid of it. They're not ashamed of it. Right. So I'm like loving this. And your pivot from being a media personality to radio and TV personality, and then doing your own business and all of that to where you are now. I always say God doesn't waste anything, right? Because
Amen.
all those skills that you had early in your career in journalism, doing what you're doing now, because you're a content creator and still a voiceover talent. So,
Absolutely.
you know, that's part of it as well. So I just love what you're doing. And
Thank you.
the Overflow Coach Certification Program, kind of tell us a little bit about what that is.
I'm so excited. So I started training overflow coaches back in 2015, 2016. And it was great. I have currently 7 overflow coaches. Hurricane Maria and all of the challenges of life that followed that kind of interrupted the continuous flow of training more coaches. But I'm excited to be getting back to training coaches, and there's a new cohort of overflow coaches starting this year in February. And so people who really have a heart to help, people who know that they want to serve others and mentor and coach, and maybe you've already been doing it, but you just don't have the certification behind you, then I'm excited because we're going to be welcoming a new cohort where we will be training you how to coach and doing it the right way, and all of the techniques and the nuances of coaching and coaching people effectively. And I'll be giving you the overflow and inner millionaire framework that you can use to build a coaching business or add on to your current coaching services. And you'll just have that certification behind you as validity and credibility that you are a knowledgeable, and spiritually aware coach that truly has the skills and the tools to help people.
That part right there. That part, the spiritually aware. That part. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You remind me. I was listening to Michael Beckwith this morning. You remind me of him. That maybe that's that part. It's something about that same spirit. And I've just been on a Michael Beckwith binge the last couple of weeks or so. So that part right there reminds me, because he talks about it being an inside game. You know, how you got to have that first. So yeah, I love that. I love that.
Thank you. And I just got to take a moment and just give you your props, Pam, because like you said before, we've been knowing each other in this virtual world for over 15 years, literally.
Wow.
If you go all the way back to when Twitter started, me and Pam came on Twitter.
We was probably on MySpace together, girl. What are you talking about?
Exactly. And I just have to just take a moment for you, because you are amazing. First of all, you're a light in the world. You have this bright, beautiful personality, and it shines through every reel, every little dancing video that I be seeing you do, girl. Pam is fearless in shining her light. So I just need to thank you for your vision, for your fearlessness and boldness, for just allowing the ideas that God has given you to come up and out, for being so enthusiastic about getting other people seen and known. Sis, you're a legend out here, and it's not lost on me that you've been doing your thing for a minute, and I thank you, and I'm grateful to be connected to you.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot coming from you, because we've known each other for through all the different transitions of the different careers and things like that.
Yes,
and
we have.
Keeping up with technology. Hey, I'm on that TikTok game. Let me tell you, I'm not going to be left behind.
I need to learn that from you. I do.
Yeah, Pam is she stays on the cutting edge of competency when it comes to like adapting, but you kind of have to. So I think but I'm a big fan of giving people their flowers while they're here. So I'm glad that we
all agree. Amen to that. We all
agree. Well, let's dive into Speakers Magazine, because I know we have this beautiful cover and so many articles, and of course we have our cover story with you, Dr. Monique. So now I know we have this looks like we have like a video embedded in there too, right? Dr. Pam. And so whose video is that?
That video, I want to say, Dr. Monique, you had about 8,000 views on that video.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so that's how God uses all of her stuff together, right? It was top notch. Your whole channel is good.
Oh,
But this
thanks.
one just kind of like talks about the money, just
Yeah.
the overflow, the meaning of it, and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, your whole channel. When you go to that one, you'll go to her whole channel, and she's pumping out content all the time that is really, really good. Not junk, really, really good.
Thank
She's
you.
a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Well, this
Thank you
And that
so much.
microphone she got over there, right?
well, this is a great cover and great picture too. By the way, I think
Thank you.
I saw your headshots and the rest of the or some of your photos and the rest of the magazine. But yeah, this is cool. And so I know I always look forward. I always sometimes Pam sends with a little heads up, but I like to see it, just when everybody else is seeing it too, just to kind of see, even if I know who's going to be on the cover, like what it ends up looking like. And this is a great way to kind of kick off 2023.
Oh
So
man, I'm so honored.
Monet, we can go into the issue. I know we got a ton of stuff. This is I really appreciate the fact that this is online. Again, for everybody watching right now, Speakers Magazine, official magazine of Black Speakers Network. It is available at online. This is what we're literally looking at right here, speakersmagazine.com. Click on online issue and you will be able to view what we're viewing. And then, of course, there are physical copies available to the select few that can get their hands on site. But this is great, Pam.
I had someone tell me that they downloaded their copy and they printed it, like took it to a printer to print. I'm like, really? I said, should I put copyrights on this thing? I'm like, it's for you to download to read, not for you to download and print. I'm like, Lord have mercy. I said,
But that's at their expense. Like, I don't think. I mean, I can't imagine more than 6 people doing that per.
right.
year.
Just order the
Just
magazine.
subscribe, right?
Well, I don't think some people may not know that you can order it. So maybe talk
Yeah,
about that a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah.
They can get a subscription mailed to the house. So that's one of the main things. They can do that. I'm really excited. This issue, kicking off 2023, our quick media coverage program. And what this is giving people guaranteed PR. And so it is something I talked with Dr. Monique about this last week, about some of the pivots that I was doing. I said my PR pivot was to do this. And really, because I've been doing this for so long, I kind of know what people want, and they don't want to, quote unquote, learn it. They just want it. And so the quick media coverage, I give them a list of about maybe 50 media outlets that they can choose from that they can pick and get. That's really it. It's like a menu. And I'm really excited about it. The little video kind of like explains the PR pivot and how to leverage their PR once you do get it. Because once you get PR, you got to figure out how to leverage. So that's one of the main things.
And Pam, can you just quickly say who is the ideal person for this particular service? Like
Black speakers. Black speakers.
I mean, like where are they at in there? So like, let's say, is it like, hey, I have an event coming up and I want to, get quick media or hey, I'm launching something, or is it more so like, hey, I
call them the messengers or the light bearers, people who actually have a message that they want to get out, whether they're saying their message through they're promoting or launching a book, an event, they're launching a program, but somewhere where they're launching their messengers and they want more people to know about the good that they're doing. And that's always been what I've been about, Ministry Marketing Solutions, helping people who feel like they have a mission, a message, a ministry. So it's really helping them get out there. And that's really it. So, I mean, can I work with dentists? Can I work with people who have food places? No, this is really more for people who have a message.
Absolutely.
That's why we have we're the official magazine of Black Speakers Network. It's really for those type of people who want to speak, coach, and train. Those are the people that want to get the message out.
And then we still have Ready, Set, Go.
Ready, Set, Go was a bonus to the quick media coverage. Yes.
Woo. Man, I like this format.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. And and Pam, you talk about something really important that is thinking about even what you were talking about, Dr. Monique. I think listening to your audience and kind of building products and services to match, the need. And sometimes it's not always like, hey, this is specifically what people are asking for, but like taking the data and taking the kind of consumer behavior and saying, okay, here's what I think we could kind of give people, highest level of value, but at something like that's pretty accessible. And then Pam, obviously you, because I feel like anytime we're working with someone one-on-one, that should be kind of like the most premium thing, but we have other things that are accessible to still get them like access. So I am so excited. I want to make sure everybody in BSN checks out Quick Media Coverage, because I think, first of all, we're going to be using it, just to kind of share and celebrate some of the things that we're working on throughout the course of the year. But I think for most speakers, to your point, this is something that they don't want to learn it, but they can
just want it.
get access. Yes,
they just want it.
I want to throw this word in. It's still all done with integrity. That is one thing with Dr. Pam is, she does want to teach you, but realizing, for whatever reason, they just want it, but it's still done with integrity, because there are a lot of PR opportunities out there that may not live up to what it's supposed to. So that's the thing that I think, Pam, that part of the pivot is you had to make sure find that balance.
Yes.
What can I give them what they want with, and still keep the integrity of not only who you are, but what PR really is all about. So, it's all done with integrity too.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, one of the things that Mark told me, he says, you're a PR purist. He says you need to get off of that and just really give people what they want. I was like, PR purist. He said, yeah. He says, just give them what they want, guarantee it. And I was like, well, you can't really guarantee PR, but after a lot of months, there are certain outlets that I can guarantee. So that's where it really came from the trying to find the right mix. As Sierra was saying, trying to find the right mix of what can be guaranteed. And it's only because I have relationships with people, so they trust when I give them someone that it's going to be good.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to the next page. I know we have quite a few speakers featured in this issue. 2023 kicking off. But from the desk of the publisher, one of my favorite parts. We get a chance to dive in. So what was this about, Pam?
This one actually talked about the pivot, about why I made the pivot, and how to really leverage the PR once you do get the PR. What PR is really about. PR is not sales. PR is really promotion and positioning and packaging you to your audience. So I really kind of like explain that, how to go from unknown, unnoticed, and ignored to really being seen everywhere. Not everywhere like everywhere, but everywhere for your ideal client to see. So that's really what that's about. Yeah.
Nice.
So I had to put a little QR code on there at the bottom if people want to go and sign up on the list there. So I have a whole new system that I'm running it through. So yeah, I'm trying to be all things.
That's all right.
That's Pam technology. That's her strength.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're supposed to be doing, though.
Like, oh my God, Brian!
It doesn't cost anything.
I told you I got Keep, right. I got the Infusionsoft / Keep, right. So that was a whole nother learning curve. I was like, what am I trying to do?
And but look, like once you do it, it takes you to this like fun little like landing page that Pam has. So.
Yeah,
so cute.
Look at that. Like
there.
Okay. Y'all better use these QR codes in 2023.
Yeah.
That's it. And this young lady here is really a pilot, okay, and a speaker. And she is a person, Shamala Willis. She's from Detroit. And she has a fabulous story. She has such a heart for young women and young girls. She's an educator. She is really, like I said, she's a pilot. Okay, she's a pilot. She's helps Dr. Cindy Trim, who was our cover story last month, and she's been with her for a long time, and that's how we actually met, through Dr. Cindy Trim. But phenomenal lady. She has founded the International Community Builders, which is a nonprofit online that really helps, educating and assisting building economic self-sufficiency. So it kind of fits in with the theme of the magazine.
And she's a Delta, and that was Founders Day, I think, was yesterday. So we
could not. Yeah, we could not open up our laptops and our computers without seeing some kind of red and white. Right? It was like, oh my God, yeah. So yeah, she's part of that as well. So
this is crazy. I think there's a surgence of interest within the Black community around aviation. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like I've seen a lot of people learning how to fly, and I'm for it. I absolutely want to learn as well. But this is really incredible to see how speakers, creators, content creators are blending so many different disciplines, because she's like beauty expert, she's writing. So this is really cool.
Yeah. You feel free to reach out to her and contact her. I could connect you to, because she does a lot of private jets, things like that too. So that's where
Hey,
she makes her money. Yeah.
Monet, put a note. All right, let's get it.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Hey.
Oh, there we go. How to stay focused. So we got to do that. I
Yeah.
love this. This is one of the things where I think most speakers fall off. They start out really good at the beginning of the year, and then they're going chasing after the shiny objects, right? So you are setting the foundation in this issue of how to stay focused as a professional speaker. So the 5 tips are really important for people to do. So definitely make sure that you all go and read this as well. Brian is there. He
Yeah.
has you know, I like where this says, with a global community of over 15,000 spread across 100 U.S. cities and 90 countries. Congratulations to Brian on that. That's a big feat. That was just an idea in your head. Remember, about what, 7 years ago?
Yeah, as it's funny when you Dr. Monique, when you were talking about your launch, like you were saying like 2015, 2016, that was the same time, BSN got started. So yeah, it's we got some lot of commonality in our stories there.
Love it. Love it.
Staying focused, staying focused. Dr. Lugenia Rucker, she is a spiritual strategist. Again, a lot of the spirituality talking about in this whole issue here, where we're really pulling together not just the natural stuff, but also the spiritual stuff as well, empowering people to prosper on purpose. Again, part of the theme. If you kind of see a little theme going on here, that's what that's about prospering on purpose.
Love it.
The center spread, though, is what I really, really love.
Woo!
That top photo, Monet, if you go to the next page, is that hug. So you see Sister Nomics right there, and you see Dr. Monique, but you see the hug that she gives people, right? That's real. That is real. That's real. What she wants everybody to feel, that hug, to feel the love. So that's been her mission. That's been her thing. That's what she does. If you're looking for someone who really can help you to that point of getting to the next level, that cares, Caradine, care. It says, oh, okay, care, like Caradine. That's part of your name, right? Care.
Oh my goodness, you are brilliant. That's so good.
Look, Pam will package you. Trust me.
It's not normal that everybody cares, because some people out here that don't care, but she has always cared, and well, the whole Puerto Rico thing, where she was going through mud, going to people's houses, you could tell she cares, right? So that is it. So this,
I think that I was just talking about overflow and the fact that she cares. I think that was the thing that when I had the opportunity to sit and interview with her, that really stuck out with me. And you mentioned that in Puerto Rico the hustle isn't the same, right? Yeah. And when we talked about overflow, you said, yeah, money's important and it's good, but there's so many things people desire to have an overflow in. And it's almost like, you gave that permission of validation. It doesn't always have to be about the money.
That's a song right there. See it. That's
right. A song, and that's right in line with the care, and that's what stuck with me.
Yes, and to that point, Seer, and I'm glad you brought that up, because we're in this culture, Dr. Brian, where everybody is like, you gotta get to 6 figures, and you gotta get to 7 figures, and you gotta hit 8 figures, and it's like everybody is like, get to 6 figures in 6 days, and I'm not knocking any of that. Like, that is great. I've done programs like 6 figures in 6 months. I have done that in my past. I'll admit it. But I feel like we are in a time right now. Maybe this is just me, but I don't want for the culture to define what success in my money looks like for me. I want to define that for me. And I have had millions upon millions. Do you hear me? We have had all of the trappings and all of the things. When
you said I had a yacht, I was like, all right, well, this is a different conversation. She just like casually like, yeah, we put all the stuff on our yacht and went to the same time.
Right.
All right.
But she still also is intact with her marriage, her man, her man and her marriage, and her son going to school,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And those are the things that matter, because my husband had a very successful business. My husband's business reached $100 million. Okay. Have I ever bragged about those things? No. Why, Pam? Why would I do that?
No, because don't be throwing up his bank
I mean,
statements and
I
all that
just
kind of stuff on the Instagram.
I think
like,
that
why?
the Louis Vuitton belt kind of speaks for itself. Like, so I don't really think you
See,
need to
now I'm
really
be
say anything.
self-conscious about it, Brian. See?
I'm just saying, like, you could have picked any belt. She's like, nah, here we go.
Oh man. But here's the point. Here's the thing I want to make sure everybody gets is that it's great to have all those things, but does it make you happy? No. What makes me happy is when I'm sludging through mud, making sure the lady has diapers for her baby and making sure that she feels loved, that she doesn't feel forgotten, making sure I can hug a sister when she sees me at a speaking engagement and speak and look in her eyes and speak to her. And if 6 figures ain't your jam, it's okay. If 7 figures is not your jam, it's okay. If you want an overflow of love, peace, joy, and happiness in your relationship, that is wealth. That is the inner millionaire that we're trying to connect to. So I don't want us to believe that if we're not going after 7 figures, then our message and our business doesn't matter. That's not true. We have to have the courage to define what overflow is for ourselves. So Sierra, thank you so much for just having the inner awareness to pinpoint that, because I don't want people to miss that. So
that is key, and that is important, and that's what I think a lot of people need to hear, because as you mentioned, when we went through the pandemic, we all had an opportunity to sit and think what was important to us. And that's why out of it came so many more entrepreneurs. And that's why they need you for the foundation. But also, now that we've gone past making the 6 figures in 6 days, what else is there?
Come on now.
And so I am excited. I cannot wait to connect with you personally and get involved in what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And here's another thing. It's very important for me to say this for the sake of transparency and vulnerability. We have had all of those things, Dr. Brian. We have lost all of those things. I need for y'all to know that my family and I went through a crisis, a financial crisis that was of epic proportions. And in the midst of that, I had to tap into my overflow. I had to say, well, those things, they have come and they have gone. They flow in and out of your life. Do I still feel like an inner millionaire? You better believe I do. I still have a healthy, amazing son. My marriage, my husband is amazing. My family, I got to spend 2 weeks with my parents over the Christmas holidays. Come on now, my house was filled with family members. Come on now, I think I got maybe 1 gift or 2, maybe. But do I still feel blessed and abundant? And do I live in the midst of overflow every day? You better believe it. And that's not defined by my bank account. I'm in a space, Brian and Pam, of rebuilding. Pam knows this. We are rebuilding, Sierra. I think you and I talked a little bit about this. We're in a rebuilding season of our life. And guess what? And I'm okay with that, because all of the things that I'm learning right now, it's all adding to my overflow. So,
and doing it with integrity.
Always.
Which is always like the main thing. If you don't have integrity, then it's like, what is it worth?
Always.
I was listening the other day of a podcast. It was Egypt and her husband, Mike, and they were interviewing Montel Jordan, who was in Atlanta as well, and his wife. And the podcast was amazing. And Montel just talked about how the first 6 years of his marriage, they asked him and says, well, do you have anybody special in your life? And he said when he was just got married, basically a couple of years, he says, yeah, I'm married to my music. And that was what the downfall, because he was married to his wife, not his music. And so the first 6 years, he had a whole lot of stuff going on. And that's why Montel Jordan is now a minister. He put his priorities in the right place. Everybody remember, this is how we do it. That Montel Jordan, that guy. Yes. And he still will sing it, but he's a minister now. He is a minister now.
I heard an interview with Mike Tyson, and I was like, I never thought I'd be quoting Mike Tyson. He always has that these really interesting quotes, but they was like, man, you went to jail. He went to prison, for multiple years. And it was like, did you went from making $30 million a fight to prison. He was like, being in prison, was actually the most peaceful years of his life. And, a lot of people get a lot of money. And he was like, sometimes God will give you exactly what you want to see, if you can handle it. And he was like, you can't put a price tag on peace, basically.
Wow.
Powerful stuff. Yes.
That's amazing to have prison be the most peaceful time of your life. Oh my!
I mean, nobody was gonna mess with him. I mean, that's for
I
sure.
know that's
Like,
you know that's right. They're not even
Brian,
gonna
I'm
be
with you.
hard
I
at 'em.
heard a couple of his clips, and he sounds like he has plenty of sense. Just listening and hear him speak the experiences. I think I saw that clip where he talked about the peace, but you
Yep.
just never know what a person is going through in life,
Yeah.
But he's grown. I say that I don't know what he was like before, but now that he's out of that, he's grown.
he was a
Wow.
wild boy.
Yeah.
Maturity will do that, and wisdom.
Yeah.
Sometimes age comes alone, but what you got, Pam?
The next one.
The next page.
Oh, next
talks
page,
about
Monique.
the courage.
Oh.
The courage catalyst. This is Linda Fagan. She has a book coming out this year, but really, courage is really the key things that will help you bust through any fears and things that you be anxious about. But she really helps people go through the courage. And then on the other page here, we have an article by Z. Scott, talks about SEO, which PR and SEO are really, really close related. And just I wanted her to explain to people why SEO is important, search engine optimization. She calls herself the SEO queen, and she really knows her stuff in that. And she's also a violinist. So if you look up Z. Scott, she has got
Nice.
She's going to be doing a concert.
Right. She plays
West
the violin.
I'm about to go do some recital lessons or something. Like this is ridiculous.
An
I don't have
actual
enough
concert.
skills.
Yes. So she is Google Z, and she's got a lot going on. But basically, having a pretty website is important, but getting traffic is really the key.
That's it.
And so that has to do with SEO. So if you're looking for an African American to do SEO, I would recommend Z to really help you with that, or at least consult with her a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna contact her about doing a speaker development class on that because we don't really talk about SEO as much as we should.
Yeah, we should. It's a lot to it. The next page I really, really like. Her last name kind of lemon, and the whole saying of like you can make lemonade out of lemons. Well, she had a lot of things going on in her life, Mandy Lemon, and now she's really turning her mess into her message. But just the first line of this bio, she was raped and left for dead by her own father. So her life was really a mess, but she has turned it around, and she's helping other people to live through and thrive after trauma. So that's one of the main things with her as well. She's been featured on NBC's Access Hollywood for sharing her mantra, turning your mess into your message. So it's her information is down there as well.
And she's a new member of Black Speakers Network. She just joined in November. So.
Oh, good. Okay, all right. So Mandy, yes, it's a amazing story. I think her video is on there too. If we pop over, I think it is. Yeah,
it is. It's in there.
And then Diane Jennings, she's in Atlanta. Dr. Monique, she's in Atlanta. She's a woman of influence, has been 40 years in the mortgage real estate business. She's also a minister, ordained minister. So definitely I would suggest, Dr. Monique, that you reach out to her and connect with her. Love her. She has a podcast called Kitchen Table Conversation. So, right there, you got kitchens going on right there.
Exactly.
You two need to connect. But she's really, really a person that talks a lot about business of equity and inclusion, and really a lot about financial things as well. So she's down there in Atlanta as well. And then the next person is a minister as well. She's really talking about where ministry and marketplace marry. So her name is also Dr. Monique Flemings, and she was in the couple of issues back, and so she's back again because she has a new program that she's starting as well. But yeah, so she is really, really a person that fits, I guess you say, that bookends this whole issue, because a lot of the women in this issue have a heart for women in ministry and also for finances. So the two,
it was all women, I think, in the issue, right?
Yeah. All women.
Besides your article.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I meant the feature, but yeah. That's incredible.
Sisternomics, that's what we're talking about.
I got it. I'm on board now. I'm with it.
So, and then the last one, really for other people, if they want to step in the spotlight, people are always like lurking and looking. Just step on in, get to the link, step on in, get in the magazine. When you're in the magazine, but you're also on the website indefinitely. You can use it for your SEO. You can share the page out. You can embed your video if you have a speaker reel, for your speaker reel views to go up, because so many speaker reels, people don't have a lot of views on their speaker reels. It's like, you need to share this thing around. So that's one of the things we embed it, and then we also put on the website as well. And then we also have a podcast that goes where podcasts go.
Nice.
We did the podcast the other day with Monique. That was really, really fun with Simone Shepard.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like Pam, you should be what's her name? Z Scott.
Scott.
Y'all should be doing some program together, because like the Speakers Magazine opportunity, you and your team do such an incredible job, and you're so intentional with making sure that you're expanding the digital footprint for all the speakers that are involved. And even just what you said, like because you're right, like I do see a lot of speaker reels and just really good content, and it's like, 5 views, 6 views, or whatever. And it's not like it's all about views, but I think at the end of the day, you should always be looking for ways to organically extend your reach into new audiences, and you provide that. I think being in the magazine, of course, is incredible. Having a print version, like I still show mine, but the digital the digital boost that it provides is incredible. And so
the
Monet,
discoverability.
the discoverability.
Yep,
that's it.
So let's make sure we put that link up there for people that want to get into the next issue of Speakers Magazine, and then that way you all can get featured too.
Yeah. And so this right here is Nikichi Taifa. She's in the DMV. She actually went to Howard, and she is a Black lawyer, Black power. She is one of the leaders in the reparations movement. And so that's all I'm going to say about that. So I can, see her, so I can keep myself quiet, right?
I'm keeping myself quiet too, but I had the pleasure, the honor to interview her as well. I love my job. I love it.
Yeah. Are we getting reparations? That's what's happening. I think
reparations is really happening in a few cities. Chicago, a suburb of Chicago had reparations, Dr. Monique. Through the housing for African American, you got different reparations based on certain things. But anyway, people are really looking at reparations seriously. I mean, every other nationality got it except for African Americans. So, yeah.
I mean, we could start with
been doing that for about 40 years.
I would be fine if they just did like free education and healthcare, and then we could like call it even.
Start there. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We'll be able to have a full conversation next month. Is she
going to be on the cover?
Yeah, isn't that what Pam said?
No, I didn't.
I said, let me be quiet before I say too much, and then she just said,
"Oh, well, I don't know. Like I'm not,
maybe not.
Maybe right. Thank you, Monique. Maybe not.
Speaker time, same speaker channel, y'all. Exactly.
Just come back next month and find out. How about that?
There you go.
Oh my
God. Well, this is good. Dr. Monique, I know we're a little over time. Do you have any final thoughts as we wrap up this conversation? Again, congratulations. Super excited to just have this conversation with you. Your deep dive, as always. Sierra, again, great job with the cover, and Pam continues to crank out excellence. 5 years in the making. But any final thoughts as we kind of bring this conversation to a close?
First of all, thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you, Dr. Brian. I'm glad that we're connected in this way now, and looking forward to exploring how we can continue this relationship and this connection. I guess if I had to leave with some final thoughts, they would be that this is the year of clarity and overflow. This is a year that I've chosen 2 words for myself personally. My 2 words for the year are surrender and declare. And I just to hone in on that word declare for a second, because surrender means a lot of things to me, but to declare your overflow, to declare your success, whatever that means for you, we have to start using the power of our mouths and our own personal inner self-talk to go in the direction that we want our lives to go, to move in the direction, to impact the people, to do the things, to serve in the way that we want to serve, to mold and shape our life the way we want to. And to create that overflow starts with the words that come from your mouth. Every word that you speak is a seed being planted. So speak the right words over your life. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I'm so blessed by today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless your overflow.
Not me just seeing that you had a shirt that says overflow on the entire interview.
Yes. Gotta
That's
rep
very
my brand, gotta rep my set.
all right. Well, we appreciate that so much. And yes, we will definitely stay in touch, stay connected. The BSN community is here for you as well as a ongoing resource. Dr. Pam, closing thoughts.
Just speakersmagazine.com, go there and download the issue, read the issue, go to overflownow.com. You'll see it in the actual article, and check out the new website Dr. Monique has there, overflownow.com.
Yes.
Really, really good. Really
Thank
good.
you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Sierra.
All I want to say is that stay connected with Black Speakers Network, stay connected with Speakers Magazines, as well as Dr. Pam Perry. Come back every month to watch and see who is being featured, because what the goal is to continue to build community and strengthen it so that we can continue growing. So thank you to Dr. Pam, Dr. Brian, and you too, Dr. Monique.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my final thought is the only thing that separates entertainment from inspiration and education is action. So if you are watching this and you're like, oh, I would love to be, Speakers Magazine, I would love to, take act. And even if it's the things that we're talking about today, you're like, oh, I think I want to get a copy of Dr. Monique's book. Just go get it now. Like, don't procrastinate just because by in 10 minutes from now, you forgot everything that you kind of mentally made a commitment to. Whatever it is, if you can't do it now, put a calendar invite in, go to the website now. If you want to get in Speakers Magazine, do it. Start the process. Don't let this be the year of procrastination. Let it be the year of overflow.
Right there. Stay focused.
Like I said,
Love it.
Let's get it. All right, we are out. Have an amazing rest of the day, everyone. BSN, we appreciate you. And as we always say, keep speaking up because your audience awaits, and we will see you on stage. Have a great day.
Thank you.